Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh, and whatever special guest he has today, you can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good, and follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the program. I thought I would start out, as I often do, with an update on the business. And I also want to timestamp this podcast. Well, maybe I should introduce the guest first or just tell you who it is. It's Michael Belkin, one of my oldest friends in golf. Not that old. He's a millennial. That's important to the conversation we're going to have today. He's a young guy, but he's an old soul. Absolutely loves golf. Has had a profound impact on his life. And that really is the goal of all the guests we have here on Party Time, My Golf Story. I'm going to timestamp this recording. It is Sunday night, 7:30, January 19th. The reason why I'm telling you what time it is we had a weather situation in Lakewood Ranch, Florida today. We had a squall come through and it knocked power out for a couple of hours, which is very rare for this time of year. And we almost had to take the podcast on the road to an old friend who was a guest just a couple of weeks ago, Joelle Harding, who is the author of this book, The Golfers, The Groundhog, and The Enchanted Putter. I had dinner with Joelle and also Hugh Riley, who was a guest way back, one of the famous Riley brothers, some of my very dear friends from the Philadelphia area. 4 golf pros, PGA pros in the family, had dinner with both them, and I will be with them on the golf course tomorrow, Monday, January 20th. This is all leading up to the PGA show. And Joelle and Hugh will be at the PGA show. Joelle will be promoting your book, The Golfers, The Groundhog, and The Enchanted Putter. So if your plans are to take you to Orlando, go see Joelle, pick up that book. You will absolutely love it. Some business updates here. The podcast continues to grow. We're now at about 14,000 subscribers. Really appreciate that. That's because when I asked you to subscribe, you did. And you recommended the podcast to others. Big hello to my neighbors in Lakewood Ranch, especially on Mulligan Way. I know they love the podcast, and I think they're going to love this program as well. Big thanks. In addition to subscribing, like the podcast as well, because that helps the numbers and it satisfies the nerds at YouTube and all the other listening and watching platforms. And so now, in addition to the original sponsors we have additional sponsors coming on board because they've seen the popularity of the show. And that's all because of you. And I think quality of the guests that we've had here. So thanks a lot. Subscribe to the podcast and like the podcast. A couple of new customers coming on board. Tatum Ridge Golf Club in Sarasota. Good place to play golf and a good place to get party. Skip's Marina, Inglewood, Florida, which was devastated by the last hurricane, Hurricane Milton. Skip's Marina is open. The backyard is. And for a lot of folks that come down to Florida and want good places to eat, but they're having a hard time finding places that are open because they're still recovering from Hurricane Milton, check out the backyard and tell Skip that I sent you. And also Bonita Fairways Golf Club in Bonita Springs, Florida, one of the new clients on board. Of course, a big thanks to Party Drinks, the title sponsor. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party. Much better than some of those hard seltzers named after a time of day or crustaceans. And if you don't like the feeling of having a beer when you're playing golf because it makes you fat and you feel all tight when you swing, try a Party, especially a Transfusion, by far our number one seller. Simply refreshing and swing lube. Swing lube. Remember that. And if your dream is to live in a golf course real estate community, similar to where we broadcast from, Lakewood National Golf Club in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, greater Sarasota area, nobody better than the golf real estate pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro, suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties in the greater Sarasota area. And if you're in the golf business and you don't have Party at your golf course or somewhere else, the exclusive sponsor of Party or the exclusive distributor is Paradise Craft Distributors. The information is below here. Give them a call and get you all set up so you can have Party coming on board with you. All right. So enough of that, the news headlines and everything. Let's bring the big star of the show, my man, Michael Belkin. Hey, man, I miss you. I love living down in Florida, but being down here for 4 years, I haven't seen you in the flesh until now. So it's a great time to catch up. How have you been, man?
Things have been good, Kevin. We miss you up here, but we're also freezing our butts off right now. So envious of the move you made.
Well, there's room for you too in Florida. I think you should come down. There's with the line of work you're in, I think you could do that, and we'll get into your line of work. First of all, where are you joining us from? You look like you're in a good hang, and if you want to do a little show and tell, then have at.
Yeah. So I live in Boston normally, but I'm in Needham at my parents' place right now, hanging out in the golf basement. Thought it would be a fitting place to do this podcast and a fun place to hang out and get some practice in during the winter.
Okay. Well, I know you have the golf simulator, and that's a big reason why I want to talk to you, because the big talk around the golf world is TGL, Tigers Indoor Golf League. And I've watched the 2 episodes of it. I was on the fence, but I think I'm more in favor of it. But as I often do when I feel like I'm over my skis on things that maybe appeal to a younger crowd, I usually bring you into the conversation. All right. And I know you played a lot of golf simulator stuff. And we'll get into TGL in a little bit, but where does your golf story begin? Why don't you take me back to the roots of it?
Yeah, so started playing seriously around the age of 12. But my first memories of golf were at our home in Needham. We had Nerf clubs, little blue clubs, and these squishy orange balls that we would make makeshift course. My brother Nate and I, with my dad, around our house, and I'll never forget the names that my dad would write with a Sharpie on the balls. So we had the Shark, Boom Boom for Fred Couples, Big Easy for Ernie Els. So that was probably my first golf memory. And then after I made the shift from travel baseball to golf at age 12, I started to take a little bit more seriously and dedicate summers to it and try to play competitively.
When do you think you started getting good, where you're like, okay, I might have a future at this, whether it being competitively or a nice club player, where you're like, I've got some room to grow?
Yeah. So the breakthrough moment for me in golf was sophomore year at Belmont Hill. I was the number 4 player on the team. We were a very strong team, sent a bunch of guys to go play golf in college. But we had our ISL 18-hole stroke championship that day. It was May of 2005. Tournament was at Mount Pleasant Country Club. And I'll never forget scrambling before the shotgun start on the range. I was the last guy there, frantically trying to find something at my swing. I literally had the shanks on the range before this round. But in the last couple shots, I figured something out that made me feel good and comfortable. Went out to the second hole, which is the hole I started on, birdied the 3rd hole, and just had one of those magical rounds where you had all facets of your game working. But what was special about that is I was probably, maybe a 4 or 5 handicap at the time, right? Kind of just starting to be able to break 80 on a fairly regular basis and starting to think like, hey, maybe you could play in college. On my 17th hole, I drained a 50-footer from off the green for birdie, which took me to -3, and I'd never shot under par at the time. So on the 18th hole, which was actually the first hole for me, very benign, 340-yard slight dogleg par 4, pretty open. Had I been playing the way I had all day, I would have just pulled driver and piece of cake hole. I proceeded to chunk a utility iron about 30 yards, dribbled one up the fairway and managed to 3-putt limp to a double bogey on that hole. Ended up shooting 71. It was the first time I'd ever broken par. Super special to do it, in a competitive event, which was one of the first kind of serious ones I had played at that time. And that was the round that really kind of catapulted my career, started the conversation with some coaches, and started playing tournaments more seriously summers thereafter, through college at Amherst.
That's pretty cool. So how did you end up at Amherst College? Were there other opportunities? Was it just the right fit for you? Why there?
So my first year was at Trinity College. I had a good relationship with the golf coach there. Had a great first year there. But at Amherst, my brother, who I'd played with at Belmont Hill, who was a super close person, in my life, who I grew up, side by side. We're 18 months apart. He was going to Amherst as a freshman. And I liked Trinity a lot, but I was a surefire bet to be in the top 5 at Amherst, whereas Trinity was a little bit stronger, and I was kind of sometimes in tournaments, sometimes out. And Amherst is a great school too. So I threw my hat in the ring to transfer. Golf coach Jack Arena helped pull some strings to get me in, which was great. But the opportunity to play college golf with my brother, who I've been so close with over the years, was an amazing experience.
Yeah, just 18 months apart, man. You guys are almost Irish twins with that. I mean, that's knocking them out quick. I want to get to your parents. They're fascinating people. I love your dad. I've caddied for him a number of times. But why don't you just talk about your relationship with your brother? You're very open about how close you are. It almost seems like you're as much friends as you are brothers.
Yeah, I mean, golf has been at the center of that, from the early days. But one of the cool things is we're very different people. He's a little bit quieter, a little bit more focused on like the math and sciences, whereas I was more kind of business, public speaking, writing, things like that. So we were incredibly close, and both competitive in sports, and we're side by side doing everything growing up through high school and then through college. He's down in Philadelphia now. He's a vascular surgeon, just like his dad. Still managed to play some golf at Philly Golf and Cricket, where he belongs now. So love getting down there to see them, and that's become a tradition every fall, going down and hanging out with Nate and his young daughter Isla and wife Kate.
Well, there's no better place than Philadelphia Cricket Club. For those that are not in the know, I'm not telling you something you don't know, because you've played it many times, as have I. That is one of my favorite places in the world. Michael Belkin is our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks and the golf real estate pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from suncoastdreams.com. Growing up at Wellesley Country Club, Wellesley's an interesting place. I lived there. I caddied at Wellesley Country Club, so I was an independent contractor. I wasn't in the tribe. There may be an outside view of the club and what people think it is based on stereotypes. What is the reality? I mean, it really is a place you can let your hair down and have a day, so to speak.
Yeah, I've really seen Wellesley kind of transform as a club in certain ways since I started hanging out there around year 2000, when we were just on the wait list as members. But through the building of the new clubhouse, it's really become kind of like the premier country club with all the amenities that go along with it. I wouldn't call it a golfer's club, right? You have a lot of, successful business people and busy families. But it's a fun place. The level of kind of attention to detail and support, level of service is just off the charts. Had the opportunity to caddy there for 10 years, which was an amazing way to make relationships with members and get to really know the course, getting to play it as well. So just have so many fond memories, many Adams Bowls over the years, both as a caddy for Peter Murray, and then eventually as his partner, playing in that for I think eight years or so.
So stop there for a second. Just for the uninitiated, the Adams Bowl is Wellesley Country Club's member guest. It's changed a little bit, but like my take on it, it was kind of a bachelor party. Like masquerading on a golf course, which seems so out of character for the town of Wellesley. But I always thought that was the joy of the club. There were rules, but nobody followed them and nobody cared and nobody like abused them too much. And that was like the secret sauce was you just from the outside looking in, you imagine this place is uptight and buttoned up. Not really. And to me, that was the charm. Did you feel the same way or you have a different take on it?
Yeah, no, most definitely, and got treated so well there from the pros to Frankie taking care of us, making that place run for 20 plus years. I owe a lot of thanks to him for taking care of me as a caddy whenever I come back to play. It's like nothing's ever changed with him. So.
Frankie Cartaglia is the old caddy master, just retired after 25 years and manager of outside services. There's nobody in the world that knows more people than Frankie. He was the straw that stirred that place. And he was one of our most popular guests here on Party Time, My Golf Story. Michael, he had like 15,000 views of his podcast within a couple of days. And he's calling me up. He's like, Kev, I don't know. Is that any good? I'm like, is that any? He had no idea, like the magic of Frankie. Like, how would you describe him to, once again, the uninitiated?
Whenever I walk into Wellesley Country Club, you just know you're going to see Frankie in his little tent there on the right, his little shed. He's got his clipboard going, all 5'5" of him, hair spiked. The first thing I'll say is, "Hey,
whoa, stop! You were generous on the height, maybe 5'4" tops, but I'm sure he appreciates that. Spiked hair. Like he never had hair.
Whatever he's got
right.
Spiked up just a teeny bit. Whatever he's got left now, but
just such a warm. The welcoming committee is like 10 people wrapped up in one. Is that kind of where you're going with the Frankie story?
Yeah, exactly. He knows who you're playing with, what time you're off, what you need, every little special thing about any golfer. If he likes his clubs a certain way or needs something with the round, Frankie will have that taken care of.
What's going on behind you? I mean, is this a clubhouse? This is the basement. Like, do you want to do a little show and tell? Can I rent this place? What's going on here?
Yeah, this is the house in Needham. So we've got all the balls of fame here. So that round I was talking about, where I had the 71 in high school. No,
I can't see it. Tilt the camera down. There's the balls. Yeah. Tilt your iPad down a little bit. All right, there. Yeah. Okay. You got the balls. What else you got there?
Yeah, we got a hole-in-one from Grandpa. We've got a bunch of flights and member guests, and father-son junior club championships. I think we've got 6 of those between Nate and me and my dad. We've got Whistling Straits trip there, little Ben Hogan in the middle.
Marion, 18th hole at Marion in the 1-iron. Oh boy.
Exactly. We've got Scotland on the right, Kings Barnes there, bottom right, Old Course, top right, and then southwest coast of Ireland on the left. Old Head, some amazing tracks out there. So thought this would be a fitting place to talk a little golf with you.
Perfect. I didn't know you were going to make the trip out of the city, but where in the city do you live? Describe the neighborhood.
I live in East Boston, so right on the harbor. Look out to the right, I see the North End and Charlestown. To the left, you see the seaport. So we're right on the water. It's been kind of built up. East Boston might not have been a place you want to go 10 years ago or so, but it's a pretty cool part of town now.
Perfect place for you. And it sounds like people your age, just stuff to do around the younger people. Right. I'm kind of getting into the work thing, but before you got into the private equity business and technology, you were an entrepreneur at a young age and you helped grow the game. Tell me about Nextgengolf, what it was, what your involvement was in it and creating it and where it is now.
Yeah, so a good old friend of mine, Chris Hart, and I got to know each other through the We Met charity golf marathon. So I did that for several summers for Wellesley, where you play a golf marathon and raise money for the We Met scholarship. And I'd become friends with another guy doing the same at Oyster Harbors. And as I was heading off to Atlanta to start my career in private equity down there 13 years ago, he told me about an idea to have a discount golf membership program for college students. He had played 3 years of varsity golf at Bryant, didn't play his senior year, and kind of found that it was a tough experience to play golf if you're in college, if you're not on the varsity team. So that was the basic premise of what we got started with. The original business was called College Golf Pass. So it was a subscription membership that got students special rates and deals and sponsorships. The business didn't really scale outside of a couple distinct metros where there was a density of golf courses and students such that it warranted an intermediary that could add value with a membership. If you go out to any college course in a more rural area, you don't really need that intermediary. They already offer a college rate. So the business didn't really scale outside of like 2 or 3 cities. But we really got to know the customer being this non-varsity recreational golfer in college. Turns out there's over 200,000 non-varsity golfers in college. And we learned that there was demand for higher end tournaments for these students, like club golf. And we learned that there were a few different tours that were doing these club golf tournaments in different parts of the country, but there was one particular group of students in the Mid-Atlantic Southeast called the National Collegiate Club Golf Association that were running kind of the best one with the most legitimacy over the most period of time. So this was in fall of 2014 or fall of 2013, excuse me. We went down 2012, actually. We went down on our own dime and helped the students who were running their club golf championship in Sea Island, Georgia. We helped them run the event, kind of observed it, became friendly with the students, shared some ideas on how they might be able to kind of expand it and enhance the overall experience, save costs on things like trophies and how they were negotiating their deals with courses. And we came back from the tournament, and this was, now it was probably, November timeframe. And we were sitting in our Cambridge Innovation Center, which was a co-working space where we met on weekends to figure out how we were going to grow this business, because the membership side of it was really not growing. And kind of with my private equity hat on, I thought to myself, well, why don't we turn this student-run nonprofit that, is doing pretty well, but has all this kind of opportunity to be more run like a business? Why don't we wrap this into the membership offering and create a company out of this and get sponsorships and build our own technology to run it a lot more efficiently and provide a better experience? And that's ultimately what we did. And we gave a little bit of equity to the students that were leading it. And my primary responsibility at Nextgengolf over the couple of years that I worked on it full time was really scaling up this college tour into a national entity. Building sponsorships with Cleveland Golf and Strixon, who are an amazing partner to the business, providing cash and product that we would provide to the students at the events, and deals on clubs and balls that really legitimized us and lent credibility to the tour. So there was basically every major school had one or two, every major university had one or two, funded club teams through the university club sports department. So our customers were really these club golf departments that had these legitimate teams of good players. You go down south. I played D3 golf at Amherst. Some of these schools would have 8+ guys that were scratch golfers and could break par in a tournament round at legitimate distances.
So it gave them a place to play, scratch the competitive itch, give them
so it was
discounts on stuff because it's not a cheap sport.
The biggest part of the business was the tour that we ran, and so it was 36-hole tournaments in the fall and spring. 100+ students. Teams would send 1 or 2 teams. So BC would have an A and a B team. A lot of big schools would do that, and it was a legitimate tournament experience with scoring software and real-time updates, and a pretty like kind of like if you played high school tournaments and like a Titleist Junior Tour or something like that, like it was that type of experience for non-varsity golfers.
Mm-hmm. And what became of it? You're no longer involved in it, or you still are?
No longer involved. The business was acquired by the PGA of America. And so if you go to the PGA of America's website and you click into Team Golf, that is this business carried on, still running the college tour. They run a very large high school tournament championship for over 300 students of the best high school golfers, and then young professional events. And it's not just young professionals anymore. It's really any type of golfer that wants to play team-based events. They're hosted in different regions around the country. So PGA looked at it as a grow the game initiative, kind of along the lines of like drive, chip, and putt, focused on kind of the millennial and new age type golfer that, may not belong to a private club, still wants to play some events, even if they're not a scratch golfer. So very much kind of a grow the game initiative, make the game more accessible, and give people that opportunity to play competitively, even if they're not necessarily playing in the club championship, even though there's plenty of really strong players that have competed in the events.
Yeah. Well, good for you growing the game. I think we all try to do it in different ways. Maybe this helps grow the game, but that's a profound way. And I mean, and that's the future. And I'm kind of wondering if the future of golf as we know it is going to be what we've seen the last couple Tuesday nights. So I'm talking about Tiger's TGL, the Indoor Golf League. And so my first reaction to it was like, okay, that's kind of neat. I don't know if that's for me. But then I started thinking, well, maybe it's not for me by design. And then I thought of you because I often when I think something's skewing younger and I don't really know, I usually call you. And that's why I called you. What are your thoughts on TGL, what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed. So I'm not ready to go and say, oh yeah, this replaces what watching a golf tournament is. I don't think the level of seriousness compares to a major championship or a PGA Tour event. Live golf, maybe. But I think the opportunity to watch golf at night and prime time during the week is pretty cool and differentiated. And it's highly gamified, right? I'm sitting down here in my basement with a simulator here. Not to say that that's legitimate golf, but it's more something that we do. I think the way that they've constructed the stadium is super dynamic, where you can see the balls hit into the net. You've got sand, you've got a rotating green. Not to say that it's all perfect, and not to say that I put it up with real golf, but I think it's a pretty creative endeavor that they've done, and I think that it shows a different side of the golfers, right? Like you can let your guard down a little bit more. They're all mic'd up. You hear kind of
right.
The trash talk and all that. So it's different than a serious tournament, but it's fun. in terms of what it exposes about the characters of guys, and it's a little bit just of a lighter experience than a very serious tournament, which is obviously the best thing you want to see. But
right, I just don't know that it could ever be considered competitive, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it, because somebody from, as we were talking, from TGL just texted me and said, "Hey, love to be on the show." Been chasing them for a couple of weeks. So we'll get to the core of it, but do you think that's not really the point? Do you think the greater point is entertainment and to showcase the personalities of the guys? And then my follow up to that is, do the guys have enough personality to carry it?
Yeah, time will tell. I mean, I think ratings have been pretty good so far, but I think there's definitely like just a curiosity of like, what the heck is this thing? I gotta kind of check this out to see it. But I think it does have a chance to be successful. I don't think it's I wouldn't like compare it to regular golf, because I think it's something different. I'd compare it to like, okay, like, are people going to watch this instead of whatever middle of the season NBA game that's on ESPN right now? I think it serves a little bit of a purpose there as something fun to watch. I don't think it's a serious competitive thing though. I think you kind of see from the match with Tiger Woods' team. I mean,
or Kevin Kisner, just like, I mean, has he not played any golf in the last 6 months? Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that machine was totally accurate. I couldn't believe that Tiger Woods, Colin Morikawa, and Kisner all airmailed the green from 100 yards. So I think they got to check that out.
Well, I give him credit, because I think it's extreme out of the box thinking, which why not? Because really, until Liv came around, golf, I never thought of it as stale until people told me it was stale. And I'm like, you're right. Nothing's really changed about it. So, I mean, look, my future, I'm not the future of golf. You still are the future of golf. And there's younger generations, and maybe you just need to try something different. So I'm going to say I'm kind of bullish on it. And for our viewers and listeners, check it out Tuesday nights on ESPN, because you're going to want to know something about this, because you're going to hear conversations about it, and you don't want to be like the old fuddy-duddy that doesn't know what people are talking about, because your kids and your grandkids are probably watching it. Michael Belkin is our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story. Michael, you talked about your dad and your brother and your close relationship. We haven't talked about your mom. Does she play golf? Does she understand how important golf is to the rest of the family? And did maybe like the conversational topics that maybe she wanted to talk about, did they suffer at the table because you guys were just recounting your round earlier that day? Tell us about mom.
Yeah, mom's been a great supporter with their three boys that are absolutely obsessed with golf, and my dad included there. She's not a big player, but we went on our trips. She'll walk the course with us. So we went to Scotland and Ireland. She walked the courses and took pictures. So she was always there to pick us up before we could drive and take us to play. But not a serious player in her own right. I think she might start to pick it up a little bit in Arizona where they retired last year. But amazing woman, a doctor as well, radiologist for many years. Still great worth ethics in us, and lots of love.
Well, medicine is the family business. Your dad is a doctor. Your mom's a doctor. Both grandparents were doctors. Your brother's a doctor. First of all, tell the story about your grandparents, because they came to medicine later in life. And why didn't you not follow in those steps?
Yeah, so my grandfather on my dad's side was a general surgeon in the New Britain and Farmington, Connecticut areas. He was an amazing kind of local community doctor. He spent his last 10 years of his career actually as the company doctor at Otis Elevator, which is one of the biggest companies in Farmington. And I saw a lot of that with my dad at Wellesley Country Club, being the de facto concierge doctor for everyone at the club who, had someone in the family with a medical issue.
Oh yeah. Stop. So that I know from firsthand experience. So everybody's like picking them for free medical advice. calling in a prescription, getting to a specialist or whatever. So continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm telling you, he could have had a business doing that. But yeah, I struggled mightily with AP biology sophomore year. I never worked harder in a course, proceeded to get a B-, and was excelling much more in speaking and writing and more of the arts, not the sciences, which is ironic because my brother Nathan was like a legitimate genius in the maths and sciences and won all the academic awards at Belmont Hill in those categories. But I was super interested in business and more artistic things, if you will, it was kind of a no-brainer to just follow what you're passionate about. And towards the end of my time at Amherst College, I became very interested in economics and business, and was able to get a pretty cool job in growth equity right out of college to start learning and working in the business world.
Well, I can't imagine a better way to meet people than golf. And I know a lot of private equity people at Wellesley Country Club and other places where I've caddied and played. Do you see the golf course as a good place to do business, to judge people's character, to elevate your own business? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a different era than, 30 years ago, 20 years ago when you had the steak dinners and the golf rounds with clients. But that being said, a lot of the people in the private equity industry, play golf. A lot of my friends and people of influence are serious players. People who weren't big players when we were growing up now are aspiring to learn. So being able to be super comfortable and have golf as something that you can have that time outside. I love to walk the course too. I think walking a course with someone is probably the best way to experience that. But yeah, we've done company golf tournaments. I've been in a technology company called Zuora for 4 years now. We do a customer and prospect outing at Framingham Country Club, which is where I play currently every year, which is really fun. So it definitely does come up. Hopefully as the career continues, I get to do more of it. Cause golf and business together are kind of a match made in heaven.
Oh, no doubt. I think I've seen more deals on a golf course than I've seen in a boardroom. Tell me this, Michael. Tell me a great golf story about maybe it could be in college or somewhere else, about maybe the best round of golf you ever saw or the best player that nobody's really ever heard of, something compelling.
Yeah. So I think about a round I had. This was probably summer of 2006. So maybe junior year of high school. My best friend in high school, a guy named Ryan Dowd, we played 1 and 2 together on the Belmont Hill team. We would play a lot of summer golf at Wellesley Country Club. Frankie, even though Ryan was not a member at Wellesley, Frankie affectionately would call him Casper the Ghost and let him slide onto the tee sheet with me and Turner.
Oh, wait a minute. So he's a friend of Frankie?
I mean, just a friend of Frankie by.
It's good to be a friend of Frankie.
Playing at Wellesley, yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
But we went out late on probably like 3:30 on one of those late kind of mid-July, or early July. Sky still late past 8:00 type of afternoons. 90, 95, 96 degrees, incredibly humid, literally nobody out on the course. And it was Turner, myself, my brother Nathan, and Ryan Dowd. And Ryan was late to the first tee because he was coming from squash training. He was the number 3 ranked squash player in the United States, and was on kind of like a pretty aggressive summer training program to go, play D1 squash, which he went on to do at Yale. Came from a super athletic family. His brother and sister swam at Yale, and his older brother rowed at Harvard. So he's like 6'3", wiry, athletic, and was a really talented junior golfer. And he's a big lefty, hits a 310-yard towering draw. And he, we were teeing off, and he just made it to the tee, coming from, I think 3 or 4 hours of squash training. Literally didn't have a towel on his bag. He was wearing his squash shoes, during the round. And, in an incredible heat, playing from the tips, managed to shoot a 67 that day, which was the lowest round I had seen at the time. He ended up walking onto the Yale golf team, playing squash as well. And I always kind of wonder if he put the level of dedication and training that he did to squash, like how good of a golfer could he really have been, to see someone, train all day and then hoof it around a course in 96-degree heat, shooting a 67 from the tips.
Just sounds like a natural. And was he good looking too?
Handsome guy, terrible style, God. But handsome guy.
Can't have it all, Michael. You can try.
He's a member at Winged Foot now, so he's doing great living in New York.
We got to be friends with him. Let's see if we can work an invite to Winged Foot. Share a minute, if you will, just about what golf has meant to your life, the profound impact that it's had on it.
Yeah, if I think about just closer relationships with friends and family, and a big impact in my work, between Nextgengolf and the network that is golf. I mean, if I think about most of the jobs that I've had, golf, whether directly or indirectly, or someone who knew someone, has really played a key role, and it's something that keeps me excited about the future. You're in this net. Not only is golf an amazing way to interact with friends and family. I mean, when I get together with Ryan every year, and we get that round together at Winged Foot or wherever it may be with our other friends from high school, it's one of my most special moments of the year. Same goes for my dad and brother when we get to play in Arizona or Philadelphia, or maybe on the Cape in the summer if we can make it happen. So it's an amazing way to keep up the relationships with friends I've had, and family members, but it's also, a personal journey against your own self in your own game. And as someone who plays fairly seriously, you can always be getting better. You never know, the best may still be in you. Right. I think golf is going to be a game that is a constant way that I stretch myself. I'm always kind of striving to improve. So it's just an amazing game to meet new people, to keep in touch with those closest to me. I don't know what I'd do without it.
You're telling my story, brother. Almost like exactly. So how's your game now?
It's pretty good. Round 4 handicap, hit the ball pretty well. I switched to a lab putter this year, which made a difference.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I've had it as low as a 2 over the last few years. So I have dreams of maybe making it to scratch. That's always the goal. But yeah, the game feels pretty good. Been playing up at Framingham Country Club since 2020. Great classic New England track with a fun membership. So, it's a huge part of my life during the 6 months that it's warm here in New England, and I can't wait to get out there. Just thinking about it and talking about it right now.
Yeah, Framingham Country Club is one of the sleeper clubs. Those that know, super fast green. I love that place. You can find a game there too. You better be careful. You better know who you're playing with there as well. So life is good. Just got married. How long has it been?
Yeah, I got married in March in Puerto Rico with my wife Vanessa. She and I met at work at a company called Catalant back in 2019. So we dated for a few years, been living together in East Boston, and have a fun life and going on in Boston right now.
That's good. You finally turned pro in life. Did she get golf and all that comes with it, and how important it is to you, and it maybe takes you away from her?
She does. She had it in her family. So her grandmother, on the dad's side, was a 5-time club champion at Winchester Country Club. So she played constantly till her final days. And her parents actually live. They just bought a place pretty close to Framingham Country Club, so that works out pretty well. On weekends, we get to spend time with them.
Perfect. Golf to keep the family together. The family, nothing at all. All right, but we're winding things down here. If you had one bit of advice for, one thing that has worked for you over the years, or if you're like, this is my silver bullet, it could work for anybody. A bit of advice for golfers, what would it be?
Advice for golfers?
Yeah.
So I think about when I had my round where I broke 79 for the first time, and I had a 4-foot sliding putt that I asked my dad if it was good, and he said no. You need to make it to earn this first breaking 80. But he said, pick your line, left edge, hit it firm, and keep your head down and listen for it to go in the hole. And that's probably the best advice if you've got a big putt or a key shot, is keep your eye on the ball and listen for it to go in, commit to the shot. And if you can do that one shot at a time, you'll be getting better and enjoying the game.
Love it. Listen for it to fall in. The old man said it, and Jack Nicklaus said it too. So if it's good enough for the old man, Jack Nicklaus, it's good enough for us, wouldn't you say?
The golden bear.
Yeah. Michael, listen, I really enjoyed catching up with you. I kept you a lot longer than I said I was going to, but I enjoyed the conversation. I always enjoy our conversations, and I look forward to seeing you again in the flesh, and maybe on the golf course, and tell Ryan, I'll let you handle the dynamics of fishing for an invite to Wingfoot, but I'm in, buddy. You make that call. I'm on the next plane. Okay.
Thanks, Kevin. Great to catch up with you, and excited to be a part of the show.
Yeah, all the best. Michael Belkin has been our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. And also a big thanks to the golf real estate pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro from suncoaststreams.com, of a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. For Michael Belkin, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, my golf story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, my golf story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoaststreams.com or call 941-220-4000.